Do you want to lead in or you just want me to?
Okay, well, I'll lead in.
Go for it. Let's do it.
Willkommen, die Zuschauer bei unserer Podcast. Denn wir sind die Fake Philosophers. Wir sprechen über ganz einfach Topic. I think that's a German word.
Sure. To all of our German listeners, yeah.
Und jetzt muss die Headphones arbeiten. Und unsere, what's the word for host? Ist der Glenny und der Eddie. Hallo. Sag hallo, der Glenny.
Hallo.
There you go.
Yeah. Is that hello in German? Hallo?
Yeah, I could be say you could say Servus, which
Servus.
is, and that's like one of the hellos we got in high school, but it's like, oh, they're saying that. You could also say, like in Austria, Grüß Gott, which is great God. And if you say that in the wrong part of Germany, they'll just laugh at you. It's like, we're not Austrian. What are you, weird?
So great God is hello?
Yeah, greet God.
Like in our okay.
But usually it's Guten Tag, Guten Abend.
Gotcha. I thought you meant like that Greek God, like meant great God. And I was like, that would be great.
God.
Gotcha. That'd be great to like greet somebody like that in English. Walk up to him like, hey, great God.
Great God.
Like the white person thing to say. Yeah, like a white person thing to say when someone comes in, like, oh, they let anybody in here. Great God.
Start using that.
I might.
People might think you're Austrian.
I'm sure they will around here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very, very heavy Austrian neighborhoods in the San Gabriel Valley.
So tell me what happened in line, Mike.
Oh, yes.
No, Glenny, not Mike. Why am I calling you Mike? It's
either
like
way.
That's not okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did a good grocery gripe, and I mentioned it in the chat. It wasn't even offensive. I don't think the guy did anything on purpose. It was just odd to me. Mm-hmm. So I just ran into Smart and Final to grab a few things, not with a basket. I just needed a few things in my hands. And so I was getting a couple of lime mayonnaise, the lime mayonnaise. They didn't have
mayonnaise.
You don't taste lime, it just kind of gives it a zingy. Anyway, we do it for our ranch. We use it for our ranch. Anyway,
like the zingy.
And so they didn't have the bigger tubs, so I had to buy like a bunch of small ones, like 5 small ones. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I have it. I'm kind of like, holding them, like gripping across my chest since I can't hold them all in my hands. Anyway, so the guy ahead of me in line at the checkout, so he had a basket with like 2 bigger items in the basket, and he only had 1 item on the conveyor, a small item. And there was a person ahead of him checking out. They were ringing up their stuff. And so his 1 item went all the way to the front. And there was like room for him to move forward, right, with his basket. But he didn't. He just sat there pretty much blocking the conveyor. And like the conveyor was wide open. Like there was nothing on it but his 1 item. While the other person was checking out, and all their shit was already in the basket. They were paying. But he insisted on standing right there. And there's maybe like 3 or 4 feet that he could have moved forward. Mm-hmm. But he just insisted on standing right there to wait until this person got their basket and moved away. Then he moved forward. I know that's a small thing, and I'm one of those people who get irritated, but I was like, you are, like, I'm sitting here holding my shit to my chest because I don't have the hands.
Isn't that your fault?
But of course, like, don't get me wrong, it's not his fault that I didn't have a basket, but at the same time, I was like, can you just not move forward?
Well, didn't the eye, because usually you move with your stuff. So there's a little eye. And the day I discovered that at a grocery store, it was pivotal. It was pivotal in my life. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was like, did you know there's an eye here? It's like if I move the like little, so that must have meant that the grocery clerk didn't move the divider. So that guy's stuff couldn't have moved up. Or was it, or you said it's a conveyor belt. So
it was a conveyor, yeah.
Or did they have to press a button?
So it was, yeah, so the worker pressed the button. He only had 1 item on the conveyor, and it was all the way up. Like, it was like the person conveyed it, if you will, all the way to the front. So, like, the conveyor belt was wide open for my shit. And so, like I said, him and his basket, and from his basket to the person checking out,
move up. Yeah,
he didn't move up. And so that's where, like, I get it. You're right. It was my fault I didn't have a basket. But I was sitting there just, like, clutching my shit. And I was like, dude, can you just move up 2 steps so I can put this shit down? And like I wasn't struggling; it was light. But just in my head, I was like, "Why isn't this guy moving up?" It was one of those
Well,
things.
you
Like,
could have just put your crap down there and just okay. You don't have to struggle. There's space. Okay, he ain't moving up. Excuse me. I don't have a basket. I wasn't that forward thinking. I didn't think people were going to be rude, and just set your stuff down and then go back to,
there was no space for me to move forward to do that. That's my point.
there was no space to,
Because
okay.
the
Well,
way
that's
that
what
the
you
way
gotta do
that
for Spartan Final.
well, Smart and Final sucks. This one does anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so there wasn't really a lot of space for me to move forward anyway. It was just I don't even think he meant it in a rude way. I don't know if he was just clueless. Like he didn't look like he wasn't like he looked
Or
at
he was
me
afraid of COVID,
or that, I guess. But it was just an odd thing. It was just an odd thing. Like I hadn't observed that before. Like normally, even like I'm the most cynical person when it comes to strangers. But like normally, when people look back and see someone, the instinct is like oh, and they kind of move forward, and then they put the divider down so you can put your stuff down.
Yeah.
I'm the most cynical person when it comes to people, but like a lot of people just do that. And so for this guy just like not give a fuck and just stand there, I was kind of like, this is kind of odd. Like I wasn't like I ruined my day. I was just kind of like,
well, he didn't even looking back. He didn't. Was he trying to, be a jerk or something? Did he looking back and say, "Hey, that guy has too much damn mayonnaise. I better move my butt up"? Or is he just on his phone?
He wasn't on his phone. I remember that, and I think he knew I was there. I don't know if he maybe thought that like he was going to encroach on the person while they were paying, and he didn't want to like come off as like he was trying to get their PIN code or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Privacy on that too.
It was just kind of odd. Like it just like I said, I wasn't like what the fuck, bro. But like in my head, I was like, why aren't you moving up? Like this is just kind of weird. And yeah, so that was my gripe. It was just kind of like you're blocking the whole conveyor belt when you.
My gripe is just, and it's like such a non-issue, so I can totally relate to you. And I had two Karen moments.
Hit it.
So this is at Costco. So I was 55 miles away from my dentist. He's good and I trust him. So I'm like 12 miles away from where I live, and then the tire monitor goes off. And I'm like, oh crap. And I just cleaned out my car for a deep car wash. They went and took it, it was a free car wash, but they got in deep. So I took everything out. I don't have my tire pressure gauge with me because I cleaned out the car.
Of course.
So I end up turning around. I'm probably going to have to pay a fee on Thursday just because I dropped the appointment. They make that clear that you're going to have to do that. But I don't want to drive like 110 miles round trip and just worry the whole time that the tire's going to bust it off of a nail I don't see. So I take it in there, and it ended up freaking, this is a nice little hello. It ended up being the tire sensor itself on one of the tires. And they're like, well, we got the thing on the rack. We might as well replace them. And it's $60 plus fees. So that's like a $250 hello, just out of nowhere. But so I'm at Costco, and I sensed the call was coming, and he's like, yeah, we could do it like 30 minutes, whatever. So I'm in the self-checkout line, and one woman ahead of me. And so I'm paying attention, and the woman ahead of me. So there's like a middle terminal, checkout area, and then like one on the other side all the way at the end, because it's 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, traffic cop at Costco directing people like to what's free, because we don't see the whole thing. It's like, okay, well, I need 2 up, 1 here, 1 there. So the woman that's in front of me goes and says something to the attendant, and I'm in my cart with a bunch of crap. And I was like, if she's not going to take this one, I'm going to take this one, the second one, because it's closer.
And there's still one that she can go to. It's not like you're cutting. Yeah, it's not like you're cutting.
There's still a free one. And then she comes up to me and goes, sir, this is mine. And I was like, and there's one over there too. She's like, well, then go over there. And me, I don't get into these things, but it just pissed me off the way it said it,
like it's your fault. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she's not paying attention, and she has like 2 items. So the only thing I did was I got snarky with her, and I just said, excuse me, sir, really loud back to her, and nobody cared,
That's really
just
good.
Talk about being petty. So I go out, and it like really pissed me off, and it bothered me. It's just stupid. Okay, just go one down. But then again, she could have had her head out of her ass instead of talking, put her stuff down on there, then talk to the attendant. She could have done something like that, right? So my tires aren't quite done yet, so I go out and wait. Where the employees usually wait. They're taking their they take their breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I got a cart full of stuff, and this woman with a walker, was a walker or a cane, or just she's having a hard time and everything. And it's like, well, I don't know what she's doing, and I don't know if it was an employee that helped her, but somebody came up and really helped her. And what she needed was one of those like little go-kart things they got.
Yeah,
They only had two because they were broken and they were already being used. So we got her a cart and everything. And talk about, kind of the Zen moment. That's what it should be. It should be helping and everything. And then I realized, just getting into it, this is an issue with me because, the Eagles don't care what the turkeys are doing. And it's like, okay, I moved. At what point do you spit venom and you quote unquote, say something back? I was going to use the word fight because that's what, and it's like, not when it infringes on your peace. I could have made a scene, and what the hell would that have done? Okay, I get one over on her. I could have told her to go F herself, but we still checked out. I still got my groceries. My tires still got fixed. So what would it have been? And then
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Well, the other close second was when I was getting up my prescriptions. There was a parking structure. It was like, oh God, the line to get in there was just hellacious. So I'm in the parking structure, and I know that there's this car waiting, and they've got their signal on, but there's a car like right in front, and there's a miracle ass parking space that's like right in my turn thing. So this individual is just like sitting there, and her windows rolled down. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to park here or whatever. So I go and I turn, and it's too shallow. And then she just looks at me and goes, okay, I'll move my car. Like the two cars in back of you didn't get that clue. And as I'm discovering this, it does occur to me that there's a car waiting with her signal on. Well, I'm not blocking your space, but it's too shallow. So she honks at me. But then there's a ditch effort anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'm just throwing this out. And guess what? I went and found another parking place that was actually closer to the steps. So, but that kind of irked me that but then, okay, she was signaling, but it's not my fault you can't get to it. I was just taking what's there.
Yeah.
It's a courtesy, but it's Zen. It's like, I hate to use this as a cheesy old reference, but and Tony Soprano, the written character, he's like, I want to be like the strong silent type. And if you really look at those characters in the Western movies, there's a certain strength in just being silent and letting it go.
I agree.
And I think in kind of this age of YouTube and what have you, and just everybody has a phone, it's natural to want to react because that's what they're doing online and in social media. But the core, if you want to be perceived as strong, if you want to really have that internal, you do what you did, which is just, okay, it's cool to complain about it, but otherwise you just let it shine and you cultivate it for comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
How many laughs are you going to get off your mayonnaise, what's funny is that you don't understand the technology, that there's a basket with wheels on it that you could,
Fuck you, Eddie. I was improvising. I didn't think I needed it.
There you go. But yeah, it's like, and that's what I discovered. That's not as funny, but it's certainly a damn sight more healthy and more cool. Well, when you don't lose your shit.
I 100% agree. So like even, Costco in itself, I could go on a rant about the shit, the social violations I've seen at Costco. But no, like the same thing, like for that woman, like what is there to gain in that situation? Like what if you fought back to her, not fought physically, but like you actually engaged her in an argument now, like what comes of that? Exactly. And I'm the same way. Like I said, in my situation, I'm not struggling with the little mayonnaise bottles. I'm holding it. It was an observation I thought was interesting, and then we were going to talk about it. But I would place no stock in Like, what would be the net benefit of me going, "Hey, fuckhead, can you move forward?" Like,
hey, buddy,
or even
hey, pal,
or even if I was polite about it, like, "Hey, excuse me, can you move forward so I can put these down?" I don't know what this guy's gonna say. Like, he might be a dick. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not struggling with these. I'm just gonna sit here silently, and I'll put him down when he moves forward, and we'll all move on. He probably didn't even think about it. We're still talking about it, and I 100% agree with that frame of mind. I think especially when it comes to strangers, because even that woman who, like, granted, is probably some Karen, you don't know her. That's what I think we've talked about it before. You don't know people. Like, you see, like, the guy in front of me, let's say I asked him, excuse me, and it escalated into a verbal argument and it got physical. I don't know if this man has a black belt. I don't know who this guy knows. I don't know what he's capable of.
Yeah, there's that fear too.
But why engage it? And that's where, like, granted, I'm escalating it unnecessarily in my head, but there is that aspect of, like, I don't know what this person's capable of. Not even just physically. I just mean, like, emotionally.
Well, you could also give him a chance, you know. Well, here's what we've gotten out of it. We're the only two people out of these struggles that are still thinking about it. You're thinking about your struggle. I'm thinking about mine.
Because that's how we think.
They're at home enjoying life with whatever the hell they bought, you know. And the fact that they got their way, I think there's more of a I got my way with the Karen I encountered than you. You know, I don't think the guy was paying attention. I think if you'd have said
I do too. I don't think
you would have probably either moved up and he's like, well, I don't, you know, I'm a privacy advocate, or my mom's sick, I don't want to be too close to people. It could have been something like that, you know. You don't know that either.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I'm not even trying to judge him. It was just a peculiar thing.
Yeah. And it's okay to be, like, frustrated and just judge it by that, but it's kind of your referential judge, you know.
Sure. That's the way my brain works anyway. When something small like that happens, I usually like why did that happen? And then we just.
But you were so much more mature. I just had to say something because the improv came out, and it's like, what's the Woody this thing? I could do an impression of her, and nobody gave a shit. I wanted her to be a fact. How dare you?
You didn't get your applause. Yeah.
No, I didn't get an applause. I didn't get a reaction out of her, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a rise. I wanted her to know that I didn't like how she dealt with it. And you know what? She didn't give a shit. She had 2 items. She scanned them both and got the hell out of there. And I had my 15 and I scanned them and got the hell out of there.
There you go. And everyone's happy. So there was a Karen moment so the Vons I go to nearby. Granted, it's probably not managed the best. And this has happened a few times to where, like, it's a busy time of day and they only have like 2 cashiers open and it's a fucking mess. But there's one time where I actually did say something out loud and the Karen heard me and she kind of snapped at me and I kind of just did one of these, waved my hand like, hey, like, I don't care. And she left me alone. But it was kind of funny because, like, I could see people kind of nodding their heads in agreement with me. And that was my applause. I was like, okay, cool. They're not saying anything, but they agree with me. Pretty much the lines were long. And, like, in my head, like, if I'm in a hurry at the grocery store, go through the self-checkout.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I had beer in my cart, so I couldn't. But so, like, if I'm really in a hurry at the grocery store, like, there's ways around it. But if you're just there to shop and you're waiting in line, shut the fuck up. That's my opinion. Like, same things with, like, restaurants. If you're in a hurry to be somewhere, don't go to a fucking restaurant.
Yeah.
Because the kitchen might be backed up. Like, you don't know how long it's going to take. So just shut the fuck up. Anyway, unless you're in New York, they do have menus designed to go faster because of broad. Anyway, but so the store, the line was long as fuck. Let's be clear. The line was long as fuck. They should have had more cashiers. I'm not defending the store. But so the woman, I will say.
Is this Costco or what is this?
This is Vons. We're going back to Vons.
This is Vons. Okay.
I have some Costco stories too, but we're going back to Vons. I'll admit I broke my own rule, but I didn't give a fuck. There was the express line open for 15 items and under, and one regular line. And the regular line was long as fuck. And I was like, okay. And I counted my items, and the gross total of items I had was 19.
Mm-hmm.
But then this is my justification. I went back to a conversation we had. I know it was with Mitch. I forgot if you were on or not. To where we said if you had repeat items in your basket, it counts as one item. So if I had like 3 bags of the same chips, if you're going to express lane, that's one item because it's one scan technically. So after I took the net count, I was at 16, and I was like, all right, I'm going in the express lane. Kind of broke the rule, but I was like, I'm going in the express lane. And so the longest the longest fuck line a woman who I saw around the store talking to all the workers anyway, so she was already annoying me. She she like left her basket, walked around to where like when you're finishing checking out, and she's like, "Hey, you guys need more cashiers." And the chick who was checking in my line, you can tell she didn't give a fuck. She's like, "Yeah, right now we only have two." So, and she kind of shrugged. And the woman was like, "Yeah, you need more. There's a long line over here." And she was like, "Yeah, I see the line. We have two right now. We're doing our best." And she's like, "Well, you should get more. People are going to start leaving their carts." And she kind of and the cashiers kind of shrugged like, "All right." And like, the cashier was like, "All right." And the woman started like kind of because there was the line I was in, a blank line that had no one working, and then the long line. So she started walking back through the line. And that's where I kind of under my breath I was like, "Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up." Or I said like, "Jesus Christ, shut up." I didn't say shut the fuck up, but I was like, "Jesus Christ, shut up." And she heard me. And so she was like, "Excuse me? Did you tell like this is ridiculous. You're taking their side?" But she started ranting. And that's when I kind of just went, I didn't even look at her. I just kind of waved my hand like, "I'm good." What I was trying to give across was like, I don't care what you're saying to me right now. Just same thing. The point is same thing with you. What do I gain in turning to her and engaging her right now? Because if I did turn to her and engage her, and I was like, "You're being a cunt," they're trying their best. What is going to happen? I already know that person from my years of bartending. I know this person. If I say something back to them right now, it's just going to escalate.
Yeah.
And then I have good standing at this Vons. I think I go there enough to where like they don't know my name, but they like know me. I don't want to become that person that like when I walk in, they're like, "Ooh, like he's here." What you know what I mean? Like I don't want to be that person. So I gave the wave. She kind of vented as she walked away. I was like, whatever. And when it was my turn to cash in, the cashier kind of looked at me. She's like, "I really don't give a fuck if they leave their carts."
Yeah.
She said it. She's like, what am I? I don't care. I'm not going to claim. She kind of was ranting to me quietly. She's like, "I don't care if they leave their carts. Well, I'm not going to go move them. Someone else will move them. I don't care." Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of a funny thing. The long story short, is back to what you were kind of alluding to. There's nothing to gain. There's no net benefit. Like, granted, I shouldn't have said anything at all. It just kind of came natural when I was like, "Jesus, shut up." And she heard me, and she got on me. But going back on her, like, yeah, if I had an ego, if I had my pride, and I was like, "You're not going to talk to me like that," like, but then what do we gain? In that situation, she probably went home pissed off. Granted, I still remember it, and I think it was funny.
Yeah, it's probably all over her podcast.
Right, she's ranting right now to that guy in the hat. Yeah, so no, I think that's an interesting lesson, because even like when you look at a lot of these interactions, like you said on YouTube and Instagram and stuff. Even today, I watched an interaction of a guy at a store. I don't know what store, but he was checking out. It was kind of like a CV, not a CVS, but like a Walgreens setup where you walk up and it's more of a counter than an actual like lines, when you're checking out. And this guy was in his face, just like yelling at him, like, "You motherfucker," like blah blah blah. And the guy just sitting there, just like, "Yo," and just like dealing with the woman who's trying to cash him out. And this guy was over his shoulder, just like, "You motherfucker, you're not gonna do shit, bitch," blah blah blah. And the guy was just like, doing the transaction calmly and quietly. And kind of back to what your point you made, in my head, yeah, part of me wanted to see him turn and clock him, but at the same time, I was like, that's the guy who everyone needs to want to be, the quiet, strong one. Because I think I told the story before. I'll skip all the details. Where a guy was yelling in my face, and there's other people with me, yelling in my face, threatening us, trying to chew us out. And the entire time, I was watching his buddy standing 10 feet away with his arms crossed, just staring at us. It's in my head, this yapper will get knocked out in a second, but his fucking buddy who's quiet, to quote you, that's strength. And if this guy's just standing there quiet, just waiting for something to happen, he's going to be the one that murders us all, not this fucking yappy dog in our face. So going back to it, like I am just ranting about your point that there's strength in humility, and there's strength in being quiet. Because when you do talk, people are going to fucking listen. And that's, yeah.
And if you want to have fun with it or take a different approach, there's this Instagram reel I saw. I think there was a new, this guy said he is going to talk to the new black coworker as he hears other black coworkers talk to each other. Just use these phrases, So you could have said something like, yeah, I heard about you. Today ain't the day. Just say something like that. And he's just saying these lines, and this guy's just reacting to him because he's new.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to watch. So yeah, you're right. It depends if you're in the mood, if you have the emotional bandwidth, which you just want to get your crap and you want to leave.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be there to tell the lady, okay, that was just a joke and everything. You pissed me off. Here's how I countered it. It was really clever. As in the case of that reel, I'll post the link so our viewers can know that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's. I think we got enough meat off of that bone.
Yeah.
What do you say? Just people getting. We all have frustrations, and then there's times where you just don't know. You just don't freaking know. So, case in point, I was in Italy. I know I have a limited amount of Duolingo, Italian and everything. And I said, I go into this cafe that's right by us. I ordered cafe con latte, coffee with milk. Apparently they just heard the latte part and they give me warm freaking steamed milk and they look at me crazy.
Yeah, I would too.
It's like, I thought this was going to freaking happen. And to make matters worse, I take my own milk over to the table and my own chocolate croissant, cornetta de chocolat, I think.
All right.
And then I go back in and get my son's milk, hot milk, and set it there. And then meanwhile, there's a woman over here who just went in, sat her ass down, and then the waiter who is standing right next to me comes and takes it out for her. That's the way you're supposed to do things. So there's the kind of borat. I don't understand. I'm a foreigner. I do speak Italian, but I don't know the, custom around here.
Yeah.
Oops, guess I won't do that next time. And hot milk is something else. But, that happens.
Sure. I was going to say, too, we can't talk about your Italy trip. I think the only reason why I would ever engage somebody in public like that is if, like, one, there is something that's going to affect me if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of an example, but like if something is going to affect my day, if I don't do something, then yeah, I will engage. Or if two, like this person for whatever reason is really like, well, I'm repeating myself, going to affect my day in a way. Like if the Karen at the store was so disruptive that unless somebody intervenes, like something's going to happen, like a police are going to be called, I might intervene. Even then I might not because I'm not an employee and I can go south real fast. But you understand what I'm saying. Like I would only engage if it meant that like my day is going to be affected. Like to where if I don't do something, it's going to be a bad consequence. That's the only way I would engage somebody.
Well, and as you also understood, you're not the only one who realized that there's an issue. It's that person is the issue, and you got polite nods. You just said something that everybody else is thinking. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Whereas at my Costco experience, it's like, no, it was just me. It was just me who got pissy just because I had to move my cart, which was on wheels, 15 items, just less than a couple feet, maybe 6 feet away,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Costco, I mean, we could go on a whole rant about Costco, but we won't. So Italy, I forgot. So you and your son went to Italy just for vacation, yeah?
It was a giant trip, and I know it was so many things. We squeezed it in 2 weeks. Spiritually, it was revisiting. He wanted to go someplace that I had never been. I'd never been to Naples, and so we kind of started the trip off there. And then I wanted to see other things, and then one thing I'm not anymore. And believe it or not, this is closure for me. I didn't realize that the kind of illusion that I was operating under was I was still in Europe. I still had my backpack on. I'm 20 or 23 years old. I'm going over there. I go over there with an actual 22-year-old, and it's like, no, I don't want to travel this way anymore. But,
humbled real fast.
I also wanted to exhibit, kind of I'll say power just kind of the financial gains that I'm not 20 or 23 anymore. And it's like, okay, we got bandwidth and we can make this happen. And we only got 2 weeks. So what are we going to do? And he took full advantage of that. Jeepers H crackers. You know, we're in Switzerland one moment. That was on the record. And he goes, I want to book something cheap. We're going to Mallorca. And I was like, you want to go to an island? He's like, that's an island. It's like, and it's an island in Spain. And so we went to Spain and treated it like a damn Vegas weekend. We also treated Naples like it was a damn Vegas weekend. It was really interesting. I'll just it was, so aside from this closure in my life that I'm a grown adult.
No longer young, yeah.
Yeah, I'm no longer young, and just kind of a huge nod to that. Two aspects of the trip that were really fascinating were I had two experiences, deep emotions that we're not used to dealing with when you go on a trip. One was fear, and the other was disgust. So I thought though addressing both of those were absolutely fascinating to go to, and just how each one of them was dealt with and just maneuvered through was fascinating. So yeah.
Okay. So
shall I talk about them, or what
well,
were you
yeah.
going to say?
Well, no. So I am curious about that. But so was this trip more like when I go on a trip, and I think this is maybe where we will differ. I kind of like knowing the itinerary. Okay, we're going to spend this day doing this, not to like the T, but at least have like an idea of like, okay, and then after 3 days we're gonna take a trip. We're gonna take the bus, whatever, to this town. We're gonna spend 2 days there, doing whatever, and then after 2 days we're gonna go to this town and then spend 3 days there. Was that? Did you guys have kind of a loose itinerary, or were you kind of just going?
We had plans. So yeah, every step of the way there kind of has to be. If there's one thing I could have done better, it's not. I could have done nothing better. Well, except kind of at the end where there's just kind of conflicts and managing that. Let me just say that if there's trouble at home, there's going to be trouble on the road. The only Zen you bring with you to the mountaintop is the Zen you bring with you. Yeah, you're not going to find it on the mountaintop. We're not going to find that, issues finally got resolved between father and son during a vacation that's high stress and we're planning and we got to have trains and this schedule's, messed up and this, and we got told the wrong information and blah, blah, blah. That leads to more stress. To answer your question, some of it, the majority of it was planned.
Okay.
And, I really wanted to revisit what it was like to spend a month just with a Euro pass or 2 months with a Euro pass. Trouble is we had 2 weeks. So there had to be some rigid planning at the beginning. So yes, we knew we were going to Naples. We kind of did an audible, but as soon as the plane lands, it's like, okay, we're not going through that much customs. We can plan to get to Naples and we can do the earliest flight. So we do that. And then pretty much we had a Vegas weekend in Naples. A Vegas weekend being, well, you get there, then you have one solid day, then you maybe have part of Sunday, and then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah, almost like a quick turnaround. Yeah.
So that's what we did. Next thing we're in Rome. That has to be planned out. We've already got we already had plane tickets. The only audible we had was getting a taxi to the airport. That was no problem. We had to wake up ass early. Freaking plane wouldn't stop making noises, and it's just, okay, is it gonna keep doing that for the whole hour? Is it supposed to be doing that? Okay, and then it takes off. Okay, we're fine now. And then after we land, wheels on the ground and start making that noise again. It's the little nutty things. And then all of a sudden we're in Switzerland, which he booked on his own and wouldn't tell me what he had booked.
Nice.
Everything was like the secret activities. I want to do a canyoning. So the first thing was kind of parasailing. That was a semi-audible. I guessed it, but I guessed the wrong mountain. So he said no, because I guessed I was like, we're gonna parasail off Jungfrau. He's like, no, because we didn't parasail off the Jungfrau mountain. It was the mountain right next to it. So haha, Dad, screw you.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was interesting. That was really comforting, and it's like a roller coaster where it's like at the end, it's like a giant, awesome sightseeing trip. But then they're all like, you want to go crazy? I was like, yeah, let's go crazy. The parachute, we did a whole freaking 360 in the air. It was awesome. But that
Nice.
wasn't really scary because he couldn't really describe. He discovered this activity on accident, which is it's hiking on the side of a cliff in Switzerland.
I've seen that. I don't like that.
That was cool until you realize there's just a piece of rebar and there's no step for it's just rebar bent in a horseshoe inside the mountains. One of them's bouncy too. Oh, that's fun. You look down and you're looking 2,000 feet down. You get your foot stuck. You've got two bungee cords with very, very sturdy carabiners. And you come to a little station, you got to unhook that thing and then make sure it's good and then hook the second. And I get out there and it gets to the point where you just have to compartmentalize. And you can't, believe it or not, you can't think that it's 2,000 feet down. You know it's there. Every time you look down, it's there. You just got to keep going and wonder how the hell long this shit's going to take. You know? And then you go over to the same cliff, and then now you got to go down on these pieces of rebar, and it's 2,000 feet down. And my son, he had a more harrowing experience because he got worried for a second, and he went to, because there's the gut check part. They let you know where you're at right away. They have a so-called point of no return on a platform, but you can't even reach the point of no return. Your bungee cords aren't going out that far. So why does the platform? I don't know. That's just okay. Now shit gets real. You can't turn around after this. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I get it.
You're not turning around. But he was on that first gut check part where you're looking down and it's like 2,000 feet down and you're looking through the rebar. He wasn't paying complete attention. Oh, this is even better. Before we get to the point of no return, he's like, you know what? This is kind of silly. We don't need cables yet. And then he freaking slips. He freaking slips. And guess what I yell at him? I yell at him, today ain't the day. Now's not the time.
Yeah.
You know, he hooks himself up. But what I was getting to is as he is going out to the gut check area, he's ahead of me. He said one of his freaking cords slipped. And he's only hanging on by one cord. So he just had to reach down, keep his eye on the cable, and then hook it back up just like a Hindu cow. I would have shit 2,000 feet up in the air. But that didn't happen to me because I'm growing, I'm gripping, never gripped so hard. I could feel my freaking biceps. And then we get to regular land and it's all like, oh, this feels so good. I love this place, you know. Whew. So that's the fear element. Thoughts?
Yeah. Fuck that. No, I've seen some of that shit like on Instagram and YouTube, some of that climbing stuff. And maybe when I was younger, I'd be down to try it, but like even when I was younger, like I don't think I'm one of those people who has like an irrational fear of heights, but there is like something about heights that bothers me. And especially something like that, to where the way I sat here and overthought someone standing in line and not moving forward for a week. I can't imagine the overthinking I would be doing with that much on the line, climbing like that. I just no, like I would be the one like, what if I slip, like, and just freak out.
Well, that's the wonderful part of it, because after all that stress, you have this epiphany, you have this realization. I was completely present in that moment. There are two things you are born with in terms of fear: the fear of a loud sound and the fear of falling. Everything else you learn. You've conditioned yourself to fear. And just getting right back to that primal element, that shit, I'm 2,000 feet up in the air and you can't think about it. You cannot, your life does depend on you not thinking about it, even though your entire body, and that's the odd thing, is to overcome fear. What that taught me is that when you're that scared, you're fully in the moment. You are fully present. And during that gut check, I don't remember a time where I was that fully present. And it's so meta because I'm not worried about falling. I'm worried about holding on to this thing, making sure my steps are good, unhooking, hooking, unhooking, hooking, and then moving on. Falling is the last thing that I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking about the damn algorithm. That's it. That's it. That's it until my feet are on solid rock, not rebar. And talk about just being present.
I think there's something to that because even and granted, it's not standing on the side of a cliff on top of rebar, but even there's been moments back when I was bartending where like if shit hit the fan, a fight breaks out. I do remember like I thought a guy was pulling a gun on us one time, but there is in moments of panic or moments of crisis, there are those moments to where it almost like comes full circle to where you are freaking out, but in that fear you find focus.
Mm-hmm.
To where kind of like you said, like, yeah, you're not thinking about the 2,000 foot drop, but you are thinking about it. But that transforms into this focus of instead of worrying about the 2,000 foot drop, I'm going to worry about hooking on. I'm going to worry about where my foot is. I'm going to worry about this. Instead of worrying about that, I'm going to worry about these small things. And there is a kind of weird focus to it. It's almost like, obviously, I've never been in combat, and I know you've served, but I don't think you've been in combat, right?
No, I don't have a combat role.
Yeah, so but I've talked to people in combat, and what they kind of say is like, yeah, they are fully aware that a bullet could enter their head at any moment and they'll die. But when those things happen, they kind of just shifted their training. Okay, what am I focusing on? I'm focusing on my crosshairs. I'm focusing on my magazine. I'm focusing on this and that. And you kind of just drop into this almost autopilot of what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different than what we're talking about, but almost similar to where like instead of the fear kicking in and you going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm going to die. It's almost like you could think about that, or you could think about what comes before that, the hooking in, the watching your footsteps, the watching this, and that, to where you become focused. Even this is a dumb comparison, but we used to have this cook at the bar. He was a fucking psychopath, like a lot of cooks are. And he would flip out for no reason. Like he was just one of those fucking nut jobs. But I do remember this one night where we had so many fucking tickets to where like I forgot what it's called. The thing you slide the tickets on was full. And then they had like a 2-inch stack of tickets that weren't even on that line.
Jeez.
Fucking nightmare. We were telling people like hour and a half wait for a basket of fries. Like it was just so backed up. It was good for business, but like, it was just so backed up. And I've never seen this motherfucker calmer. Like he would flip out on the dumbest shit, and I've never seen this guy more calm than we had a 2-hour wait on French fries. He just something like I said, full circle. Something came around to where that fear, that anxiety, that craziness just turned into focus. And it's almost like, well, I'm here. This shit's happening. Might as well just get through it.
He doesn't have time to complain. That's amazing.
And that's kind of what I'm alluding to with you. Yeah.
Well, we talk about, kind of just an emotional topic of an elephant being in the room. It's like something is there, but you don't talk about it. I didn't need to talk about it. That employee did not need to talk about the spinner thing with all the checks plus the 2-inch stack. I didn't need to think about the 2,000-foot drop. It's there. It's there. I have to look at the rebar every single time I put my foot down. It's there.
Yep.
And the irony is that you don't think about it just because the elephant is so big and it's right up against you. It's there. And that's fascinating. That's really fascinating. How it once you're in it, you don't need to talk about it because it's there.
Yeah, we kind of went off a tangent from your trip into the almost fight or flight crisis mode in your brain. But no,
that's a very primal thing. We're discussing fear. The other one is disgust. Do you really want to, and usually disgust is accidental,
Well, I'd imagine,
okay, so the accidental disgust, the accidental component we went to was a restaurant. We were just hungry. He gets hangry. So we just sat down at this place that wasn't right by the Coliseum. You want to take, go a couple blocks away from the Coliseum.
Avoid the tourist traps.
Prices get better. Yeah. So we sit down and, you're drinking water all day. We sit down at this restaurant. We take turns using the restroom. So you go in and there's like this slidey door thing. And then there's a restaurant and it's dark and it's kind of blue light, kind of hip looking too. So there's a toilet on the left and a toilet on the right. I go left and the toilet is fucking backed up and there's sewer flies, like an infestation, and just toilet paper in the thing. And I go, no, and I close it. And I go into the other one. There's maybe 3 flies. We can deal with that. I do what I need to do. I leave. That's a sort of disgust. That's ew. Okay. But when you get, and what I'm talking here is that right after we didn't plan Mallorca, so we kind of didn't know what to do, but it is Spain. I've been to Spain before. I had a list of things I wanted to eat. I got to a couple of them. But on this island, there's 2 museums. It's called the Museum of Disgust. There's one in Malmo, Sweden, and the other is in Mallorca in Spain. 30 euros for this experience.
3?
30.
Oh, 30. Got it. Okay.
30 euros to get. Okay, we're in it now. We've talked about it. So it's interesting, and it's kind of a distance thing, you know. They talk about cheese, they talk about bats, they talk about Spam. They talk about a cheese that's made in Sicily where maggots crawl through it to get that particular taste.
Oh.
They talk about fermented shark. They talk about A&W root beer, how some of the world thinks that is the most disgusting taste in the world. They talk about Vegemite and Marmite and all that good stuff because, yes, that is disgusting. And so you go through this process and it's distant. Everything's in a case. The bat that people eat, that's in a case, you know, it's distant. But then comes the pièce de résistance. This is why it's so expensive, because they go down and they have a buffet. And they have a maitre d' that explains some of what you saw in the case up there. You have the opportunity to try now. Let's start with a Thai dish. Let's start with ants. Have some ants. They taste crunchy and like lemon, you know. And then the next thing you're doing, you're eating frickin' fermented shark. And my son had never tried Vegemite. I had tried it. I was good. And then you start, and then kind of the funny part is, right in the middle of this is A&W root beer. So
grab that shit quick.
Okay, yeah. So we would have something disgusting and we go, okay, yeah, let's have another hit of that root beer. But you know, there's like water and stuff like that. And so, and they gave you some of that cheese that smells like, oh God. And it provokes a response. It's supposed to. Disgust, I learned this sociology of emotions. Disgust is a primal emotion because some of our ancestors didn't have that. They died from disease. They died from spoiled foods. They died from dysentery. They died from, you know, listeria and botulism and what have you. Us, we kind of get disgusted. So these things are triggered. It's not, you know, you don't go in and order it. But here at this museum, it's like, we're going to take care of you. There's this guy coaching you. Here's exactly what you want. And you do what you want. And then they got into bugs. The only time my son, God bless him, he tried everything. Certain things I tapped out on. I'm not eating a whole beetle. He coughed and kind of gagged on that because he got wings and legs and everything, you know, kind of the smaller bugs. I did try the Anthony Bourdain, that fermented shark that's Iceland is noted for, just a little bit. Oh God, I had to hold my nose. I can block off my nose. You know, you learn to do that in theater because if there's one restroom in the, you know, it's freaking in the men's dressing room. And if somebody just dropped a load, you know, you gotta
deal with it.
You got to deal with it. And you do that by closing your nose, but then you take a little inhale and it's like, oh goodness, we're back here. I got a little, go ahead.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you I while you've been talking about this place, I kind of started doing some Googling about it. Yeah. So there was a Los Angeles exhibit.
Really?
For this, because you said it, yeah, it's based in
Malmo.
Yeah, Malmo. And so this, and it's what you're saying. So this exhibit was only in the winter of 2018, 2019, and it closed. But it said that so yeah, they had surströmming. I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure. Fermented herring from Sweden.
Yes.
I think you mentioned that. Cuy, CUY, roasted guinea pigs from Peru.
Okay, we didn't have that. No.
Yeah, this was the LA one.
Okay.
Kasu, this is what you mentioned. This one, Kasu Marzu, maggot infested cheese from Sardinia. Which,
Mhm.
listen, I'm down to try weird shit, but maggot shit, no.
We tried something that was comparable to that. I don't think we tried that. It was just this disgusting English cheese that smelled like a fucking gym.
Oh,
You know.
yeah. So then, stinky tofu, which is pungent bean curd from China.
Didn't try that.
Hakarl. That's well-aged shark from Iceland. I think you mentioned that.
Tried that. Just
and then,
a little tiny bit.
Yeah, and then durian, the stinky fruit from Thailand.
They didn't have that because that's or didn't. I gotta ask my son, but yeah, I told him, and they have durian all over the place in Thailand because you notice that is so stinky. It is the one food that when you bite into it, it doesn't taste like it smells. It tastes fine, almost a non-taste. Someone once described it as eating custard out of a toilet, and that's exactly right. So
I've heard that though. Yeah.
I think they might have had durian, and the fresher it is, the more ripe it is, it's fine. But I had to because it's all over Thailand. If one of those things falls on you, it'll kill you because it's got spikes in it and they're heavy. But seriously, I was proud of him. What gave me, I would have tapped out on the majority of things, but knowing what was at the end, which was a hot sauce buffet, the last one, they make you sign something because if you eat, they give you toothpicks of this stuff all along with this stuff. So I can handle hot. You know, we're back at home with this hot, but the last one they give you, if you eat a teaspoon of it, you'll die because your nervous system will be overwhelmed. So we went all the way. I tried every single hot sauce. I'm not tapping. I'm back home. You know,
it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for Americans to back down from hot sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, serious. But yeah, they're like, oh, the smoky flavor. But yeah, the second one they gave us, I tasted it and I was like, I told my son the first time I tried the hottest hot sauce, which was Dave's Insanity. It was back when I was in college and saw one of them Cutco things. And so I went to the Cutco presentation. So they had pizza and guy brings it out running the training session. He goes, I got some hot sauce up here. And I'm like, hot sauce, it's a Tabasco, whatever. So I grabbed the thing. They had New York slice pizzas. And he looks at me and goes, it's hot. I was like, yeah, it's hot. I was like, yeah, because I'd never tried it before. So I remember I put like a decent amount on this piece of pizza because I'm thinking it's Tabasco sauce. And I bite into it and it's fine. And it's fine for about a minute. And then the oil hits and I can't get rid of that damn taste. My lips went numb. I started getting flush. I needed more dough. Yeah, that was very painful. The second sauce we tried, I was like, that's Dave's Insanity. That's the same thing. That's the same high. And he only gave us like a toothpick full. But
yeah, people, I mean, I know I've toyed around with making my own sauces, but like people do underestimate hot sauces in general. Like I've heard people like talk shit about like hot ones when they try some of those sauces, and like I think we've talked like if you don't wash your hands well enough when dealing with this shit and you rub your eyes, like it's fucking awful. Like I've learned to respect the shit out of peppers and sauces because that shit will fuck you up. Now I'm gonna go back to this fucking maggot cheese. So did they actually let you try that, or is that just something they showed you?
No, they had the semblance of it. They had like kind of how it's made. And upstairs, there was a live cheese thing and the maggots are doing their thing. We didn't get to try it pretty much because, well, they don't give a rat's ass about health violations. I think it's just too expensive too.
Well, so
that cheese is expensive, but no, I didn't try that.
I was glancing at the Wikipedia as we've been talking, and it says I guess now it's prohibited in the European Union.
Oh, really?
Because it said that like apparently it tastes good, but yeah, apparently like the maggots can survive being digested and then cause you a lot of bad health. Yeah. So they banned it.
That's probably the other reason they don't have it.
I needed to look that up. Just I was curious about that, like because I remember one time we had like people over for, I think it was for like wings, and we happened to, it was one of those things we were tired, we'll wash up the next day. And like the next day, I don't know what it was, but there was like a few maggots in our sink, and just the sight of a maggot repulses me.
Hmm.
It's just the idea of eating a cheese with maggots in it.
Yeah.
I was just like, who? Like again, I'm open to trying food. I will try a bug. I will try this weird shit. I'm about
This
it.
place will test you. I
Yeah,
got a place for you in either Malmo or Mallorca, in Palma, Mallorca.
yeah.
I got a place for you.
I'm not doing maggot cheese though.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think they served that. They served the
Good,
stink English cheese,
good.
which was that's the one that really made me gag, or that and the shark. When I took a dump later, all I smelled was that shark. And we had like just
A microdose.
a micro dose. Yeah. Like the tip of a pin. Yeah, just it was a little bit. And
Mm.
man, you could taste that. And Anthony Bourdain, when he tried it on the show, he's like, "Oh, that's nasty," Just he tried a chunk too. I didn't try no chunk. I tried a little bit, and that was rough.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that. I
But
even I've heard stories. Did you hear about that the jelly bean game they have?
mm-mm.
It's like almost like Russian roulette with jelly beans. They have like it's a fucking game that I don't understand why people play it. It's pretty much they have like a bunch of jelly beans and they come in pairs. So there's like two greens, two blues, two reds. And the point of the game is, let's say you and I are playing, and there's other people. Let's say it's you and I. It's our turn. There's two red jelly beans, and it's Russian roulette. You take one, I take one. One tastes like strawberry, and one tastes like dirty sock.
Mm,
And like people throw up playing this game. Like
really?
I know people in my family who played it like at their like kids' parties or whatever. And he said like I had a jelly bean that literally tasted like vomit, and it made me want to vomit. And in
Mm-hmm.
my head, I'm like, why are you playing that game? Like I would not like. Ugh.
Yeah,
Anyway,
typically, it's interesting, it's something new. But as I was going into this experience, it's like, this is not an emotion you visit. This is something you're surprised by. And here you take it head on. This is what it is. And by the way, this is what's served around the world. They talked about meat. They talked about pate and showed the goose like getting force fed, to eat its liver later. They talked about spam. And some people try A&W root beer and think it's the most disgusting thing. They don't have that in Indonesia, and it's like you
touche.
taste that. What the hell is this? Wow.
I
This is,
never thought about root beer, but that makes sense.
yeah,
That like, it makes sense. We're trained to it. We're accustomed to it, but it
yeah.
makes
We
sense
grew
that
up with
that
it.
is a foreign taste.
And in Iceland, they grow up with the fermented shark, and it's a delicacy at Christmas. What's wrong with you people? It's like, I'm
I think
okay.
I think I told you as a kid. My I grew up in Rancho Cucamonga. The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, the minor league baseball team, and a lot of times, the players, like minor league players, don't make shit, right? Unless you're a major who's just going down to rehab. But anyway, and so they would actually the booster clubs would find a lot of local families to take in the players and house them for the season. So we used to do that because we had like a guest house.
Mhm.
And one of the players we housed one time was from Australia. And
Mm,
so he brought Vegemite with him.
mhm.
And yeah, that shit was repulsing as fuck. And I think he pointed it out because like when he's like, let's try it. So like I got the knife and I spread it out like I would spread out peanut
Same.
butter, and it was fucking gross. And he's like, well, that's the problem. You're not supposed to spread it so thick. It's supposed to be a thin slice. As an adult, I was like 12 at the time, but as an adult, I'm like, okay, is he talking about kind of like whiskey? If you sip good whiskey, it's good, but if you shoot it, it's bitter and it's bad. But if you sip it, it's good. But
Mhm.
in my head, I was like, no, fuck Vegemite. That shit was so gross. But he would spread it every morning on his toast, eat it like nothing, and that was his shit. And
He was
now,
raised on it. Yeah.
and I'm curious, like with root beer, I can see that actually with root beer
Hmm.
because it is really an American soda. Like Coke and Sprite and all that shit's worldwide, but root beer is kind of an American soda, so I can see that.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
Marmite too. I thought Marmite would just be a
I haven't
percent
tried
better.
Marmite.
No, it's the same thing as Vegemite. It's that same fermented. But yeah, I caked it on there like it was jelly. I treated it like it was fig
Same.
jelly, and it ain't fig jelly.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Learned that the
Um,
hard way. But back to Italy. So you went to the Gross Museum. I think I'd be curious
that
in that
was in
museum.
Spain. That was in
Yeah,
Spain.
sorry. I think I'd like to go to that museum. I'd be interested in like learning about the things, but if they presented me with a buffet, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. I will leave now.
That's part of the experience, though. You don't have to
I
do it.
I get
You
it, but
don't.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like and by the end, when he gets the bugs and stuff like that, it's like, come on, there are people serving on the front line. There are people on oil rigs. All you got to do is eat something.
I would.
He starts to go for that. When I saw that there was hot sauces at the end, it's like, okay, I'll backtrack. I'll try a little bit. I'm not going to try the damn beetle. My son tried everything.
I would.
The only thing he tapped on was the beetle because he got wing and he got legs. And yeah, it wasn't fun. And they do have trash cans. You're not the only person who's going to need them,
Yeah.
and there's plenty of water to drink. And I had my glass there. I was holding it tighter than a beer. Let me tell you.
I think that you just made a good point. I think the bug thing, like, I take it back. I would try some of it. Um, the bug thing, like the idea of eating a bug doesn't repulse me, but I think you're right. If you bit into it, if you bit into it, and then like you feel the legs and like that kind of shit, that's what would gross me out.
Yeah.
I'm with him on that.
Because yeah, I mean, when we were in Mexico, we had crickets. We started off with a cricket, and then came the ants. And that totally was it. When he said Thai, it's like, oh, come on, we got to do this. We got to do this. But yeah, it is fascinating, and it's just guiding you through it. And you don't try a hell of a lot. If you do want that hell of a lot, they got it for sale. Everything you just tried, you're more than welcome to it. Buy some, along with the A&W root beer. They got that for sale too. If you really want to barf. I came home and my neighbor stocks it. I got one of her bottles, and as far as root beers go, my favorite is Henry Weinhard's, and then I go to Barks. And A&W is just really low on that totem pole, as far as quality root beers. But that's me.
So going back to the trip, though, now that we diverged on the gross food, you started with saying that you had like a bunch of emotional moments. I think you said something about fear, something else. What was that about? You said it was almost transcendent.
Well, just the fear. We talked about that up front. It was the fear just being on that Swiss, on the side of that Swiss slope, and looking down. And the disgust part, it's like, okay, here's a guided tour through disgust.
So we covered the fear, the disgust, the you're getting old, I'm no longer young.
Yeah.
Any other transcendent, life changing?
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so if you can handle it, this is the advantage of going through a 22-year-old because he's open. We discovered Lime electric bikes and scooters when we were in Naples because we didn't want to get a freaking Uber, and we didn't necessarily want to walk. And I was kind of skeptical about it. But then I scanned it in and I was like, we get this on demand and we get there so much quicker. Now, Naples is Naples. But Rome, that Lime, this is for all our viewers, Lime electric bicycles and scooters save the day. I did what I was told. My guidance on it was just get the hop on, hop off passes. You can get on any bus, any subway, any just whatever public transportation. You can just hop on, hop off. It was 22 euros. I bought those. We used the subway once. We were using Lime bicycles the whole time. It was A, fun. B, it was on demand. We got there so much quicker. And they're respectful of bicycles. I thought, if you're going to be a Nimrod, I never got honked out once. Just you treat it like, as my son said, you treat it like a motorcycle, and you're good to go. And I only got lost once going to Trevi Fountain in the morning. I went the wrong way, but still I got home fine. If I can reiterate that, Lime as a means of tactical transportation, because you don't have to wait for it's on your terms, And then when we got to Munich, they have bike lanes, so you are just in nirvana. I barely used the U-Bahn. I only used it to we only pretty much got it on the way from the airport, and then just going to Theresienwiese, which is the stop for Oktoberfest. But otherwise, I mean, we went to Vatican City on a freaking Lime bike, and it was so much quicker. and so much adventurous. The only trouble is we had watches. Sometimes the watch doesn't sync with the phone. You got to pull over a second, check where you are, reset the phone. That was the only annoyance. When either your glasses or your watch, you got to open the Lime app. And when you can time that right, you never have to take your eyes off the road. It's awesome. It's so much fun and it is brilliant. That was a real star of the trip. I can't emphasize that enough.
I think they have those in Portland and San Diego too. San Diego, I think, has the scooters.
Well, there used to be bird all over the place. I see them occasionally. I
Hmm.
looked up Lime over here. But yeah, I didn't see it surprisingly enough.
Maybe it's not Lime, but I do know there's something similar to Lime in San Diego. Because I remember I was there for a wedding one time, and a lot of people used them in their like suits and everything. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So you came home recent, like it was just a few days ago. You got home,
It
right?
was on the 22nd. Yeah,
Oh, so
I
a few
got home
weeks
the
ago. Okay,
22nd. Yeah.
got it.
So the first 2 days of Oktoberfest was the last, or was our last 2 days there. And because my son is 2 for 2, 2 trips to Europe. He got food poisoning at the worst possible time. He saw none of Oktoberfest.
I was gonna
I
ask if
spent
you went, but
I spent a freaking fortune on the hotel just to get it there. I'll say this: we got our money's worth out of hotel because he didn't leave the room. You
there
know,
you go. There you go.
it
That's the
was
silver
just
lining. Yeah.
it was taken care of. There was $100 credit to the room. He got his room service. Anything out of the fridge, he was just taken care of. I was sending him liquids. I learned from the first trip when he got sick not just to wait, so I went and enjoyed Oktoberfest as best as I can. And you can't get any more tourist than this. Germans don't wear this shit.
Oh,
They wear
they don't.
lederhosen
Yeah.
and dirndls. You know,
Yeah.
I just decided to go full tourist because I wanted to have something, because I was optimistic about him, just picking his ass up and going the next day. That didn't happen. So he's got a black shirt. I've got this green shirt. And
And the
let me
hat.
just say, and the hat, all of which I overpaid with because I didn't. Here's the weird thing: buy your souvenirs and stuff like this at the actual Oktoberfest. It's expensive, but you won't get ripped off like being in proximity because prices are posted. I was like, okay, if I get into the actual carnival, then it's going to be expensive. No, it was the opposite. I paid 10 more euro for this and 10 more euro for this than I should have.
Sure.
And it was a giant sweat box. It was cool seeing that. But then again, they said that first day was the hottest day of recorded Oktoberfests ever. So
Oh.
I was sweating through my pants. I went into like this one tent because I heard they served ox. I wanted to try ox. I get in there and I was waiting for this thing, and there was no organization. It was like, these two foreign guys were just this back entrance. Nobody was moving. They had a line. They didn't know when. So I was like, no, there's new people showing up. There's got to be another entrance. So I go over to the other entrance, and there's at least Hofnum, meaning they're letting people in. So, and then I hooked up with these Austrian kids. I think they were in their 20s. And I said, can I at least sit with you? They're like, sure, And so that's, if you watch some of the videos, that's, or some of the people I was hanging out with got a little more drunk than I should have.
Yeah. Oktoberfest.
But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I got part of the culture. I will not attend on opening day ever again. Go during the middle of the week. Fewer people. It's going to be people like you who don't have to work and who are on holiday just to see it. Rides aren't going to be crowded. Tents aren't going to be crowded. Just the second day of Oktoberfest was so much more manageable than the first day.
Well, of course, it's like opening night. Like it's gonna
But
be
you don't know
popping.
this.
Yeah.
It's cool to say we're going to open Oktoberfest. How cool it is. Yeah, it's cool. I've got pictures of the parades. You see well-groomed people, German television, the world. It's a world famous celebration. And I got to open it. And I got pictures of parades. It's not Disneyland. It's got the Disneyland, perspective, but then it comes from the heart. You have to be somebody. You have to be a member of that community. You're not a hired actor. You're somebody important to the city of Munich to be in that parade.
Mm.
Whether it's just being on a float, and all the beer tents are represented. This is old. Oktoberfest, for those that don't know, it started off as a wedding reception, and they just kept going it and said, let's do this next year. And now it's the world famous Oktoberfest. There are beer festivals and wine festivals in Germany, but if you say you have an Oktoberfest in Wiesbaden, those are fighting words. They will take you to court over that. There's a beer fest in Stuttgart. It ain't no Oktoberfest. So you can go to a beer festival, have a good time, pay fewer prices. It's not going to be the world famous. I went to the world famous. Okay, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Would I do it again? Well, if we have to, yeah. But there's other ways to do it,
Yeah.
You have to go to Disneyland. Well, if you've been watching Cinderella, yeah. Do you want to go to an amusement park? There's one with better roller coasters, and there's one that they used to have berries. You ever had a boysenberry? If you haven't, I got a place for you, So it's kind of like that.
No, I hear you. It's kind of funny. It's not going to happen, but kind of in my head, you were talking about, and I've heard the story too, where Oktoberfest in Germany originated as the wedding reception. And in my head, I couldn't help but think, I was like, oh, what about the chicken wing contest that originated as two people talking shit to each other, and then they started doing it every year. I was like, maybe one day a Song of Spice and Fire chicken wing contest will be an Oktoberfest of Southern California.
I'll tell you what, you set up a bouncy house and you see what happens.
There you go.
That's all it's going to take. It's all it's going to take. A bouncy house, and then you've got an annual event.
There you go.
But yeah, it was a very good trip.
Good.
Each trip is different, and yeah, there's so much more detail in it. Those are the kind of the highlights.
No, of course. I mean, we would sit here for 5 hours. We were going to talk about like every little thing,
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time. This is the first time I've really actually talked about it, because I've just been busy doing my thing and
getting back into the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, getting back into the real world.
Yeah, I think the next time. So obviously, we don't talk about it too much, but on the podcast, but with the baby being home now and just work as it is, like Eric and I, we never actually went on a honeymoon after our wedding, but we're thinking about once the kid gets old enough, we want to travel again, and we're thinking it's kind of weird, and I think maybe we have discussed it. I don't know if it's the contrarian in me, but I kind of like going to places that other people don't tend to go to. Like when we went on a cruise a few years, it was in 2017, a lot of years. And the options, because her parents were paying for it, and they're like, do you want to go like in the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, or to Alaska? And I was like, Alaska. Let's go to Alaska. And it was great. And so like that's kind of I like going to places that, like, if everyone's like, oh yeah, like the Caribbean, we went there, Mexico, but like I was like, not a lot of people go to Alaska. So we did that. And so we kind of were thinking of going to maybe like not Denmark, Iceland. I want to go to Scotland to like look at the castles, look at the clans and my heritage and stuff like that. And so no, yeah, anytime someone travels, I'm very curious about it, and the experience. Because yeah, one day I will also travel again, and by that time I will probably also, if my son's old enough, be humbled by his youth and vigor while I'm limping behind him, trying to keep up.
I kept up. It's he reminded, and the reason why my son pissed me off, so he reminded me of me. It's like, dude, I understand why people had their limit with me, because I was acting like that. He's not medicated, he's not. And it's like, oh goodness, that what goes around frickin' comes around, bro.
The next time you come to the wing competition, if you're competing, we don't really have like the house, the words anymore, but I'm gonna put that not medicated.
Recording, stop recording. There we go.